70 LGBTQ organizations sign day after election manifesto. As election results confirm Donald Trump's return to office, LGBTQ organizations across the nation are rallying together to prepare for what many fear will be a challenging and discriminatory era. In response, 70 LGBTQ advocacy groups have issued a unified statement vowing to continue the fight for equality, safety, and acceptance. It says, and I quote, "Our LGBTQIA Two-Spirit Plus community has risen again and again to meet moments that have challenged our rights, our humanity, and our freedom. Today is no different. From the early days of the Mattachine Society and Daughters of Bilitis, to the Stonewall Uprising and HIV/AIDS activism, to achieving marriage equality and anti-discrimination protections in the workplace, to the fight for transgender rights, and beyond, we march on," end quote. The organization emphasized then their unity despite the challenges ahead. We've got this, they said. They reflect on the progress made, such as the election of Representative Sarah McBride, the first openly transgender person in U.S. Congress, and the continued strides towards securing rights for queer individuals and families. The statement also highlights the victories in states like California, Colorado, and Hawaii, which have cemented the freedom to marry for same-sex couples. The LGBTQ groups also celebrate the tireless work of their volunteers who have worked to educate and engage voters through calls, through texts, and door-to-door efforts. These actions have helped ensure that queer families, freedoms, and futures remain a priority. The groups remain resolute in their dedication to creating a society where every queer person can live authentically and without fear. The statement is signed by a coalition of organizations including the National LGBTQ Task Force, GLAAD, Lambda Legal, the Trevor Project, and many others. Here at Queer News Tonight, we aim to contribute to the progress of the community by creating awareness and keeping you updated on every development that matters to you. That's a lot to consider there, and I love the statement. That is, in these kind of dark moments, and as I like the way the statement framed it, we've been here before and we've survived, but I also want to note, and I don't want to be like kind of Debbie Downer here, not everyone did. And I think it's important in this process to honor those people as well, and part of the commitment we have to make to ourselves is to make sure that we stay committed to this fight, because we've been here before. There's a lot to celebrate, but there's a lot of work to do. So in these kind of dark moments, I want to celebrate those victories, no doubt, but also keep a clear head of all the work that's ahead. And it's so hard when we're so exhausted and there's just so much we know is coming, but also. And it's
a ray of hope during this dark time. And it's also good to see Equality Florida on that list.
Yeah.
I
love that.
But it's important, and I think in our history we've had our moments like the last week, and if we've failed, it's because we haven't communicated well.
Right.
We haven't communicated amongst ourselves as a community, whether it be myself being older to some of these younger generations that are coming in. We haven't communicated well between the trans community and our community. There's so many slices to the onion of the gay community, and I don't think that we've made our best effort. And this whole message is talking about that, and this production that we're standing on right now, talking here, blasting out to the universe. It's vitally important that we support this institution so that we can talk about the world at large, and we can share and say, Stonewall, what do you have? Tidal Wave, what do you have? Holy Cross, what do you have? And everybody come to the center of the table so that we all win.
Right.
So that's where we have to work the hardest on.
And that's been part of the issues we've had within our own communities too.
Yes.
We have our walls built up.
That's
We've separated ourselves. That's why we have our own flags for every letter of the alphabet. We do.
And we have every alphabet.
Right. And so it's great to see organizations come together and unify, because you know what?
Sure.
That's going to teach us to let our walls down. The only way we're going to fight this and win this is when we can do that together.
Well said.
Yeah.
Exactly. You mentioned the 70 groups. Let's make it 100.
Yeah.
You mentioned the onion. Let's peel back each layer of that onion and say, all right, guys, This is the core. Let's build on the core.
I mean, I think we got spoiled because we've had so much success over the last generations. I mean, I remember being back in the 80s, starting with the AIDS organizations, having to build them up by brick and penny by dollar, you know?
Right.
We're back at that stage.
Right,
folks.
complacency was our enemy during that.
More solidarity, more togetherness.
And we have to teach the younger generation of what has happened because they haven't gone through a crisis.
No.
That's right. That's right.
And this is a crisis.
They've had a crisis. But it's I mean, we're in one, right?
Well,
like,
This is their-
and they
we're
can't
in
fight
one.
This
John.
was their
and they can't
crisis,
fight-
yeah.
Well, but I'm
Right.
just saying, as a gay community, we've gotten through the AIDS where now it's not as traumatic
Right.
as it used to be.
There's no horror with the
Exactly.
AIDS movement,
And
right?
the younger generations are so used to walking around just saying, hey, I'm here, I'm queer, and be proud. And I'm like, congratulations, but welcome to your crisis.
Well, and know your history too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
no, they
The
don't.
history is what we need to educate them on. So that way they know why they can walk around and say, we're here, we're queer.